Well, hello. As lockdown restrictions ease and an increasing number of organisations are allowed to open their doors in one form or another, government rules regarding places of worship have recently changed too. So from July the 4th, it's permissible for churches to meet with various restrictions for services. Whereas for weddings, the congregation size is limited to 30 people, for Sunday services, the size is limited to the number of people that can be accommodated whilst implementing all the guidelines that the government's published. Well, at Kingfisher, both Tredworth and Westgate, we've been planning and preparing for this, and now we'd like to lay out for you the plan that we have for a safe and secure return to physically meeting together for public worship. Whilst the government is easing restrictions from July the 4th, we are aiming to relaunch physical services in the form that I'm about to describe from Sunday, August the 23rd. So, here's what we're proposing. Tredworth and Westgate will relaunch on the same day. The first 2 weeks back will be regarded as dress rehearsals to test and to review our procedures. Now, this will be on the basis of people volunteering to be part of these test and evaluation Sundays. We will therefore launch fully from the first Sunday in September. The first Sunday in September, that's September the 6th. Having modelled the requirement for social distancing, which is 2 metres apart or 1 metre plus where that's not possible but wearing face coverings, we'll only be able to admit 48 people to the Tredworth building and 25 people to the Westgate building, even with families grouped closer together. It's important to note that the current online services, that is 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock and 6 o'clock, will continue to be provided in their current form at least until the end of September, at which point they'll be reviewed. Making physical church available is not, at this point, a replacement for the online services, but an addition, a first step back towards normality. Well, the service will include children's ministry, and full risk assessments have been done for both Westgate and Tredworth. All risk assessments will be made available online as per government requirements by the end of July. Now, owing to the restriction on numbers, we'll need to implement a booking system for people wishing to attend live services. Not everyone will wish to or be medically able to take this step in the early days of this transition, so please don't feel that we've suddenly made it really difficult for people to go to church. We're merely taking the first step towards enabling everyone to meet together to worship again. There'll be a booking system online that will enable everyone to have access to physical church services at least once or twice a month, and that will be made available and explained in the coming weeks. Again, the online services will remain in place alongside this. To comply with the 1 metre plus rule, we will need to wear face coverings for the time that we're in the building. As part of the new normal, it's likely that many of us will by now have our own masks or face covering and be at least somewhat used to wearing them. However, we will be supplying single-use face masks at the door for those who turn up without one. We'll continue this for at least an initial period to enable us to get used to bringing our own, or as I say, a face covering of some description. There'll be hand sanitizing stations, both at the entrance door and easily accessible places in each building. The children in particular will be directed to wash their hands and use hand sanitizer. The services will need to look somewhat different to what they have previously been, what we've previously been used to. Government guidelines dictate that there is no corporate singing and no loud music that would necessitate raised voices to be heard. So we'll have to be creative in terms of how we worship God during these services. There'll be new entry procedures into the buildings. For Tredworth, this will mean entering via the fire exit door by the office, going into the main hall via Little Fishes. The exit will remain at the main door, thus creating a one-way system. For Westgate, our meeting place will be moving from Chuckaboos to the Cavern, which gives easy access from Westgate Street. The toilets will be available in both buildings, but there won't initially be refreshments. For Tredworth, Fusion and the children about to go up to Fusion from Little Fishes will meet in the jungle room, with the younger children, the babies and the toddlers, staying in the main service with parents to the rear of the main hall. For Westgate, Action Pack will continue to meet in the place where it normally meets. As I say, full risk assessments with details of the plans for children's activities will be made available to all parents. Deep cleaning of both venues is currently underway, and the buildings will be sanitised before each service, again to comply with government requirements. Well, I guess one question that will likely be raised about this is, why bother? The online services are working well. The step to get back to physical services seems to be complicated and less convenient. Other churches have different plans, some deferring this physical return until next year, with others having different events over the weekend for various groups of people. Well, the reality is we'll not be able to get back to normal until a vaccine is found and tested and administered to the population. When will that be? It's likely that we'll be well into next year before this becomes a reality, and it's possible a vaccine will never be found. Online alternatives, good though they have been, are no substitute for actually having fellowship together in a physical sense. To be able to physically come together, to gain encouragement and support from each other in person, to actually speak to one another, in other words, to have real community, is a precious and a valuable thing. And the longer we leave this, the more isolated and lonely we're going to become. Having said all of this, however, it's important that we move forward together. What do you think about the plan to start physical services again? Would it be something that you would feel able to participate in? We need to hear from you, and to achieve that, we've developed a simple online questionnaire which we would ask you to take a few moments to fill in. It's going to help us to assess the appetite for moving ahead with this plan at this time. Now, the questionnaire is on kingfisher.org.uk, that's our website, and you can fill it in online. Would you take a moment to do that over the next 2 weeks? This will really help us with our planning as we seek to give as many people as possible the best possible experience of worshipping God in community. I'm sure that this plan raises questions, and there's a box on the questionnaire where you can type in any question that you have. Please bear in mind as you do that we're all feeling our way forward here. None of us has been in this situation before, and we're all just trying to do our best. So when you ask questions on that online form, do try and make them as positive and constructive as possible. And just finally, may I just say that Jesus Christ knew that this time would come. There are no surprises in heaven, and he has a plan to give us all that we need to come through this time stronger, more faithful, and with our roots going down deeper into him. It's grace that's brought us safe thus far, and grace will lead us on. Grace from him and grace towards each other. Thank you.